Back in 2001, I left home at 18 to start university. Like most students, I ended up in halls of residence, and that's where I met Donald. First, Donald was great. Funny, social, always down for nights out. We got along so well that when the first year ended, we moved into a bigger house share together. We became part of a little crew. Friends who cooked together, went drinking together, even pulled all-nighters before exams. By 2004, Donald had dropped out of uni, landed a job at a bank, and even managed to buy his own flat. And when he asked if I wanted to rent his spare room, it seemed like the natural next step. Thought perfect. We've been friends for 3 years. What could go wrong? I had no idea just how fast things would unravel. First, things seemed fine. But almost immediately, Donald's personality started to rot. He got snide, sarcastic. Mutual friends stopped coming over because he'd make them feel unwelcome, tossing insults, then laughing it off with a classic line. "Relax, it's just a joke." But it wasn't funny. It was cruel. He stopped going on nights out with us. Instead, he became this bitter, antisocial presence. To make matters worse, his aunt, an overbearing, annoying woman who thought she owned the place, started dropping by every other day. And trust me, she wasn't there to bake cookies. She was nosy, judgmental, and just as rude as him. One day, Donald announced he was getting Sky TV installed. Cable. The fancy stuff. Cool, I thought, until he turned to me and said, "You'll be paying for half." I was working a part-time retail job and paying for uni myself. Money was tight, so I told him I couldn't afford it. His response: "Then you don't get a say on what I watch on my TV." That was the start of a downhill slide into pure manipulation. Suddenly it was my house, my rules. Every single. If there were dishes in the sink, it was magically my turn. If the bins weren't taken out, my responsibility. If he came home angry from work, guess who got yelled at? I pointed out the unfairness once, and he snapped. My house, my rules. Maybe you should rethink living here if you don't like it. The worst part. He tried to belittle my workload. I was juggling 3 full days of classes, 9 to 5, plus 4 days a week at my job. But to him, "You're only at uni. I work full-time. I shouldn't have to do chores." It was gaslighting. It was bullying. And it was breaking me down. Eventually, I just retreated to my room. No more arguments, no more hanging out. I was polite but distant, quiet. Inside, though, I was boiling. I felt powerless. Crap. But then came the lifeline. A friend mentioned they knew someone looking for a roommate. I went to see the place. The vibe was welcoming, the rent was fair, and the relief I felt walking in the door was instant. I made my decision right then. I'm out. I didn't even tell Donald. I planned my escape in secret. My parents, who knew I was struggling, agreed to drive up and help me move. 2 weeks later, it was moving day. Donald had no clue. So when my parents showed up that Saturday morning, he greeted them with fake charm, suddenly acting like we were best buddies again. "Oh, I didn't know you were coming to visit," he said cheerfully to my mom. That's when I dropped the bomb. Only, coldly. "They're not here for a visit. They're here to move me out. I found a new flat. I decided I didn't want to live by your rules after all." I will never forget his face. His smugness evaporated. His eyes widened like he'd just been slapped. He looked around, waiting for someone to say it was a joke. But nobody laughed. And just like that, he sulked off to his bedroom and stayed there, hiding while we packed everything up. It only took 2 car trips. 1 hour. I didn't even say goodbye. I just left my keys on the coffee table and walked out forever. A few hours later, I was in my new place. Free, finally breathing. And that's when I got the text. "I'm really sorry for the way I behaved. I hope we can still be friends." My response. Just one line. "Ha ha 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 ha." That was it. Never spoke to him again. But karma wasn't done with Donald yet. See, without me paying rent, he couldn't afford the mortgage. And since everyone knew how toxic he'd been with me, no one else would move in with him. His bridges were burned. The guy who used to strut around saying, "My house, my rules." He had to quit his job, sell the flat, and move back in with his mommy. Meanwhile, my new roommate became one of my closest friends. Over 20 years later, we're still tight. The sweetest part of this revenge wasn't just leaving. It was the look on Donald's face when I told him I was done. That shocked silence, like his entire little kingdom had collapsed in one sentence. And then karma did the rest, stripping him of his job, his flat, and his fake superiority. Here's the lesson. When someone tries to control you, belittle you, and gaslight you, walking away can be the most devastating revenge of all. Because sometimes you don't need to fight. You just need to leave. And let karma handle the rest. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button. Tell me in the comments, what's the most toxic roommate story you've ever heard? And don't forget to subscribe, because more stories like this are coming, and trust me, you don't want to miss the next one.